And how far along things are is something we don't know at this point.
All right, Nia Malika Henderson, Matt Pfizer, thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate and your flexibility talking about the Rose Garden interest there.
Both with us when the video came in.
All right, thanks, guys. So Bernie Sanders in the Oval Office right now. The question is, will he approach those microphones right there outside of the West Wing and talk to reporters? It'll be very interesting to see about what he says from this meeting. I want Donald Trump. You agreed to support nominee. Get on board or leave the GOP. Again, Donald Trump on Twitter retweeting, leave the GOP to John Kasich. Let's bring in our panel right now. Margaret Hoover is back with us, along with Miami Beach Mayor and Hillary Clinton supporter Phil Levine. CNN Politics Executive Editor Mark Preston is here, and Donald Trump New York delegate John J. Laval. He's also an official with the state Republican Party here in New York. And John, let me ask you flat out. Donald Trump retweeted that message, leave the GOP to John Kasich if he doesn't get on board. You want John Kasich out of the party?
No, we don't want him out of the party, but we need to unify the party to a certain degree. One, Donald Trump didn't run with all the endorsements of these individuals. He didn't run with the support of the establishment. And so while he's not necessarily looking for it, we all need to move together, because the alternative is Hillary Clinton. And it's getting to a point with certain people in the Republican Party, they have to understand it's not about them. It's about who we are as a Republican Party and what direction we're moving in.
If Donald Trump is retweeting something that says, support me or get out, does that help unity?
Well, I watched the registrations changing dramatically. Like in the county that I'm chairman of, we're larger than 10 states. There are Democrats moving over to the Republican Party in record numbers. We're out registering the Democrat Party for the first time in like 8 years. And that's because of Donald Trump. The people have spoken. The average Americans have spoken. A lot of them jumped off their couches and they went to the voting booths and they've spoken clearly. And people have to get the message. It's not about the individual candidates. It's about the Republican Party. It's about the men and women that live in our communities. It's not a top-down. It's a bottom-up grassroots effort. That's what making America great again is all about.
So, Mark Preston, you know, John Kasich's not calling for an out-and-out insurrection, but there are plenty of Republicans now who are, including right here on the show. You heard, Steve Lonigan the other day calling for Amanda Carpenter, saying, time to just vote your conscience at the convention. Don't vote for Donald Trump. Is there actually any real machinery for people who want to stop Donald Trump to do it now at the convention, or is this just shenanigans?
I think it's a pipe dream at best. You know what's interesting about John Kasich right now is that we're talking about the sitting Ohio governor who's hosting the convention in his state, saying that he is going to walk into the Quicken Loans Arena and he is not going to endorse the nominee. This is why it's a problem right now. And it's a problem on both sides. It's Donald Trump's problem, and it is the Republican Party's problem. One is Donald Trump needs the support of everybody in the Republican Party in order to defeat somebody like Hillary Clinton, who is a very strong candidate, whether you like her or not. She's a very strong candidate. They need the Republican Party base behind them. Every vote counts, and you need the independents. It's a problem now for the Republican Party because they have Donald Trump who's out there saying some things that is very difficult for them to reckon with. And we're seeing the likes of Mark Kirk, who's in a very difficult race out in Illinois, saying, I can't endorse him anymore. I can't be with him. There needs to be some kind of coming together where Donald Trump acts more like a politician. Yes, I said it. He needs to be more of a politician, and the Republican Party needs to get behind their candidate, because it's what it comes down to, the Supreme Court, and that's what we're not talking about.
Despite the unrest among the GOP, I mean, you do hear from Trump people and others, don't underestimate the unifying effect of Hillary Clinton. Mayor, Hillary Clinton, she's now going to be giving a big speech, taking on Donald Trump, not just a big speech, another big speech after the one on foreign policy, this one focused on economic issues. Is this the new playbook for Hillary Clinton?
No, I think what she's going to be doing, of course, is calling out the differences between herself and Donald Trump. Now, of course, we don't really know the economic policies of Donald Trump. I mean, we've been trying to study the course book at Trump University, and we're learning, of course, misrepresentation, fraud, scams, and so on and so forth. But besides Trump University, what are the economic policies of Donald Trump? We know what Secretary Clinton is about. She's about equality, about breaking down barriers, about raising the middle class, raising, of course, the minimum wage for all Americans. But when it comes to understanding what Donald Trump is about, it's very challenging, very difficult. The American people don't know. But of course, Secretary Clinton is about the middle class. So I think it's important for her to come out there and explain how would her presidency help the American people, and that's what she plans to do.
Meeting with President Obama right now. If you can give me a two-word answer, how many, when people say he needs space to decide his exit on his own, how many days are you willing to allow him?
I think he should take as long as he wants. The convention's not till the end of July. Bernie Sanders is going to support Secretary Clinton. President Obama is going to support Secretary Clinton. We're going to have an incredibly unified party. It's moving in the right direction.
All right. All of you, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. At the White House right now, Bernie Sanders meeting with President Obama. That is their walk to the Oval Office. We saw it moments ago. What's going on behind closed doors? We are waiting for Bernie Sanders to emerge from the Oval, perhaps speak to reporters at any moment.
Also happening at any moment, Donald Trump is getting ready to meet with dozens of his top fundraisers in New York. I think you're looking at Chris Christie walking into the building right now. We'll take you there.
Is still supporting which presidential candidate and by how much?
CNN senior political reporter Manu Raju is live from Capitol Hill, where it's all happening, with much more. What is going on with Paul Ryan today? It's like the daily Paul Ryan saga. What is going on?
That's right. Actually, Paul Ryan's been, the last couple of days, really preaching how important party unity is going to be going into the fall, and worrying that Donald Trump, by the things that he says and does, sort of can undercut that. Today, he's actually unveiling Paul Ryan's national security agenda that really brings together key Republican principles, long-standing Republican principles. But he also expressed concerns on a radio program earlier today about Donald Trump's antics hurting the Republicans going into the fall.
Do I think that these kinds of antics are distracting and give us a campaign that we cannot be proud of? Yeah. I've spoken very clearly about it. But I think and hope and believe that he can fix this to the point where he can hopefully run a campaign that we can all be proud of. And what I can control, Jay, is what we do here in Congress.
Now, on the other side of the aisle, Democrats have their own issues to deal with, namely Bernie Sanders. I had a chance to ask House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi earlier today whether or not she thinks Bernie Sanders should drop out ahead of the July convention, as a lot of Democrats want to unify behind Hillary Clinton. Pelosi would not go there. She says she thinks that Bernie Sanders ultimately will be constructive, but she sympathized with how hard it is for Bernie Sanders supporters to let go and realize that it's over for them. So she is, like a lot of Democratic leaders, giving Bernie Sanders some space. So we'll see how long that lasts, guys.
The line of the week.
You're giving them space. You need some space.
I need space.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Manu.
Thanks, Manu. Breaking news right now. Bernie Sanders is meeting with President Obama at the White House in the Oval Office. We are watching that image on the left is them walking in. The image on the right is what we're watching now. Will Bernie Sanders come to the microphones and speak and just spill the beans on everything they talk?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ashley Banfield, and welcome to Legal View. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in the White House right now, but also at the Four Seasons Hotel in New York City, because there are two pivotal meetings taking place at those two locations right now. On your left, the gathering at the Oval Office between President Obama and Senator Bernie Sanders, walking the colonnade. The one-on-one potentially winding down after this walk just 45 minutes ago. Aides telling CNN the president is nudging Senator Sanders towards accepting Hillary Clinton as the Democratic Party's nominee, but he will not directly ask him to exit the race. And then meantime, in New York City, the presumptive GOP nominee has brought together a large number of the RNC's top campaign donors, the money men. Trump is looking to firm up his fundraising operation. The meeting marking the first time that this group has all been gathered in one place, but certainly not the first time conversations about Donald Trump and raising money for an election has been raised. And there is a lot to debate about that. All of the Democratic superdelegates that Bernie Sanders would like to flip, the guy he's meeting with right now in Washington has to be pretty much tops on his list. But President Obama has the opposite goal, to gently flip Bernie Sanders instead into the Hillary Clinton camp. Now that Secretary Clinton has a lock on the nomination, and Senator Sanders' progressive revolution has reached at best what could be called a crossroads. Senator Sanders' fourth conversation with the president in just the past month comes hours after the president reflected on the bruising inherent in a primary season and the healing that he is sure is about to follow. The president spoke to Jimmy Fallon, in fact, for a Tonight Show segment that will air this evening.
My hope is that over the next couple of weeks we're able to pull things together. And what happens during primaries, you get a little ouchy. Everybody does. You know, when Hillary and I ran in 2008, you know, your staff and you know, supporters, they're popping off, and somebody's reading, did you see what happened? And they start spinning stuff up. Sure. So there's a natural process of everybody recognizing that this is not about any individual, but this is about the country and the direction we're going to take it. And I think we're going to have a great convention, and we'll do well.
They have been taped Wednesday, but it's going to air tonight. And CNN White House correspondent Michelle Kaczynski joins me now with more on the visit of Secretary Sanders. I'm always fascinated to watch the Colonnade Walk. Is there anything in the tea leaves that we can get from that? But effectively, this is not really a surprise what's happening, but take me inside.
Right. I think it was interesting that the president used the word ouchie there. You have to wonder how ouchy this meeting is going to be. But you use the word gently nudging, and I think that's really operative. I think it's telling in that the White House won't even publicly say at this point that Hillary Clinton is the presumptive nominee. I mean, even after that speech she gave, the White House emphasizes and emphasizes again respect for the process, respect for Bernie Sanders, and especially all of those supporters who might have a really hard time letting go, but ultimately who the White House wants to support Hillary Clinton. So yeah, we were really interested to see that video too, walking through the colonnade, and you think, you know, this is now the place that Bernie Sanders will not inhabit. That has to feel very, you know, difficult for him to walk through with the president, all eyes of the world really on him right now and on this meeting. But you could see how relaxed it seemed to be, cordial. They were laughing together, and now that meeting is underway. Should last probably another 20 minutes or so, Ashley.
So then it's not the first meeting, high-level Democratic meeting. Senator Sanders is busy in Washington today.
Yeah, and it's interesting now to start to hear from some of the top Democrats. I mean, he's going to meet with Senator Harry Reid later, but we've also heard today from Nancy Pelosi and aides close to them saying that they, too, they want to hear Sanders out. They don't want to strong-arm him into stepping out before his decision-making process is over. Everybody kind of knows where this is going. Everybody knows what everybody's thinking, but nobody wants to push him and be unduly rough in this process because unity is what they're after. So the president, Reid, they want to talk to Sanders about what he wants moving forward as well. What does he want in the Senate, for example? What does he want to see as the Democratic Party comes together? They want to involve him and engage him in the process, even though he now won't be the nominee, Ashley.
All right, Michelle Kaczynski following the story for us live at the White House. Thank you for that. I want to just go north from Michelle all the way up to New York City. It's where Jeremy Diamond from CNN is taking out a very different kind of meeting in Manhattan. Donald Trump meeting with top GOP fundraising officials from all 50 states. I am fascinated by this story for 1,000,001 reasons, but also because the story up until today, and I don't know if it's going to change, has been so many of these donors are so hands-off, so worried about this particular controversial candidate that they've been keeping the purse strings tight and considering the down ballot races instead. If the money is going to fly, it's going to go towards the Senate races, which are contested, and not necessarily the top ticket candidate. Are you hearing differently?
Yeah, that's certainly the thinking of some donors. You know, they're thinking, you know, if they can't support Donald Trump, they'll at least, you know, put some money towards the down ballot races that Republicans are up against in some tight battleground states. But, you know, Donald Trump is bringing along some of the top ticket GOP donors in the field. You know, he is rallying some of the top, you know, Woody Johnson, for example, who was a big Jeb Bush donor, is finance chairman, and some of the other top tier GOP donors here. We actually just saw several GOP donors and Donald Trump's chief operating officer, Eli Miller, walk into the building here at the Four Seasons. Governor Chris Christie, who has also been a key figure as far as building that bridge between Donald Trump and the more establishment donor wing of the Republican Party. So this is going to be kind of one of those meetings of the minds where Donald Trump is going to try and ease some of the concerns that these donors and the fundraising team have, and also kind of forge a path ahead, kind of figure out what the plan is to be able to raise the millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars needed to compete in a general election. Donald Trump just yesterday in an interview said that he, sees no reason to raise over $1 billion, which is kind of the watermark that was established in 2012 and what Hillary Clinton is expected to raise. So certainly Donald Trump trying to form a plan here, trying to ease some nerves that donors may have, but we'll have to see what happens actually inside of this meeting. Ashley?
Jeremy Diamond, live on the sidewalk, waiting for those to exit so you can ask them questions. Thank you for that. We'll tap into you throughout the rest of the day to find out what you can find out. And I just want to remind our viewers at this time that unease that Jeremy's alluding to, much of it has come from the kinds of comments that Donald Trump has made along the campaign trail, and most recently about the judge, the federal judge in his Trump University case, alluding to the fact that his Mexican heritage, he's a U.S. citizen, but that his Mexican heritage may in fact be a problem for him to continue sitting on the bench. There's been no motion for recusal, let's be clear, from the Trump camp, ever. No lawyer has ever asked that judge to recuse himself. There's been nothing filed, but publicly these statements have been made, and it has made a lot of people in the Republican Party very nervous. Not the least of which the head, of the House, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, said that those comments are just racist, they're textbook racism. And then this morning, the Speaker of the House had something different to say about that as well. Have a listen.
Do I think that these kinds of antics are distracting and give us a campaign that we cannot be proud of? Yeah. I've spoken very clearly about it.
So there you go. These are fresh on the minds of those who may be walking into these meetings with Donald Trump. And look, there's also that comment Donald Trump has made himself about $1 billion may not be necessary. He may be just relying on me, the media, to do a lot of that bidding for him, to give a lot of that coverage for him. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money on political ads when you got the CNN putting your news conferences on the air. So that'll be some kind of dynamic that those fundraisers are going to have to, or those donors are going to have to assess, and wouldn't you want to be the fly on the wall? All right, just ahead, we're going to continue to do politics, but we also have this remarkable story. We have some new documents from the prosecutor in the Stanford rape case, and they reveal that the rapist actually lied to the judge in that case. What he didn't want the judge to know about his past, what the judge found out, and what the prosecutor